here we are, this is our title. So we're your presenters today. I'm Will, I'm the CEO of Mote. I have just moved back from living in the United States to being in the UK with my family just a couple of weeks ago. This is my last day of a 2-week quarantine, and I can't wait to get out and see the world again. I'm not a teacher. My mother is a teacher, but I'm not a teacher. But I did spend one summer teaching Japanese teenagers at a school in England. It was a lot of fun. I remember teaching them how to sing a Backstreet Boys song and make up all the words in English. And that was definitely my best teaching experience. Katie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I've been, this year was my 10th year of teaching. I've taught in the UK and over in Malaysia and Singapore. I'm a Google certified educator and trainer, and I'm administrator for my school. We go back next Tuesday. So I went in today to move my classroom around. My best teaching experience, well, my subject is geography. And I love bringing geography alive through tech, using my Google Earth and Google Maps and expeditions, and it's definitely getting those children interested in exploring. That would be my best teaching experience.
Fantastic. And Heather, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Heather Ringersma. I've been teaching for 16 years, mainly 15 of them in the English language arts classroom. That includes teaching grammar, literature, those subjects. I teach in a small rural Wisconsin school district. I would have to say my best teaching experience was having to leave my classroom for an emergency and coming back about 5 minutes later, and all of my students were working. One of them had appointed themselves teacher, and they were all working, and I was very impressed. And they said, well, and I said, wow, this is wonderful. They said, well, it's what you would want us to do. And it was just very touching. So kids are wonderful. So
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. So today we've got a packed agenda. I would love to briefly walk through some of the basic functionality of Mote. I'm going to try and tackle some of the questions that you asked us, and then I'm going to hand over to Katie and then to Heather, just to talk a bit about their own experience rolling out Mote with their own schools and their own classes. And then I'm going to dive into some more of the advanced functionality and answer some more of the detailed questions that you guys have submitted. So for this next section, I'm going to talk about, just show you how easy it is for a novice technology teachers to use, talk a bit about different language support. I'll touch on the power of verbal feedback. This is one of the questions we have, but honestly, this is really something for you to experiment and find out about yourself. I will tell you honestly, we've had a tremendous amount of positive feedback from teachers. Probably like 1 in 50 or 100 emails I get is a teacher saying, oh, this wasn't quite right for me or my students, so thanks, but I'm not going to continue using it. But almost universally, the feedback we get is that giving voice feedback is faster, and it creates more of a human connection between the teacher and the student, and the teacher and the parents as well. And I think Katie and Heather will speak to that a little bit as well. Talk to how students can use Mote, and I'll talk to what happens if they don't have the extension installed. So let me get started. So this is, can you see my screen? You can see my Google Classroom setup.
Yeah.
So I have here a Google Doc in a Google Classroom, a private comment view. This is a very typical usage of Mote. Just a couple of things to note. So we designed Mote initially actually to work just with Google Docs, slides and sheets, and then we extended it to Google Classroom. So if I were to click here, I could start a recording and add a comment on a specific piece of content within the student's document. I'm not going to do that because I'm going to leave a private comment on the assignment, and I'll show you how that works. So here I am. I'm going to add a private comment. Hi, Jim. I really like the start of your essay here. I'd love you to tell us more about the Chinese garment industry, and please give us more information on your sources. So I've saved that now, and I'm going to click on this button in a moment. But before I do, I'm just going to show you one thing. So what I did, I just recorded my first voice note here. I wanted to show you that it'll show you the transcription. I chose to enable voice transcription. This is an option. Some people switch it off, but in my case, I left it on. And I chose English UK as my language. We support more than 20 different languages, including Mandarin Simplified and Mandarin Traditional. And so you can see the full list here. And we can add, if you find a language that you'd like us to support and we don't support it, you can always drop us a line. We have some constraints based on the languages that are supported by Google, who we use for voice to text, but we've continued to expand this list. So I'll just go back to my comment here, and I'm going to click on this button to review and edit my transcript. Now, this is because I want to make sure it's right. Hi, Jim. I want to make sure it's right before I post it onto the student's document. I could always edit it afterwards, but I want to make sure it's right from the beginning. So here I see the transcript. This is the voice to text. I really like the start of your essay. I'd love to tell us more about the Chinese, not the Chinese government industry, no, the Chinese garment industry. Okay, that's quite an important difference. Please give us more information about your sources. Okay, great. I'm going to save that. And I'm going to, it's completed. Now I'm going to post my comment. And what you'll see here now is that my voice note is now posted onto the private comment view. So I could click and play. Hi, Jim. I really like, and I can read it. Now, we're now going to look and see what that looks like for our student. Now, our student doesn't have the Mote extension installed. So our student is going to see a note like this. It's going to say it's from me. It's to say click to hear or read my voice note. Now, my student, I'm running this in a Chrome browser on a MacBook, but this would work similarly on a Chromebook or on a PC. It doesn't work very well on an iPad, and so I wouldn't recommend using Mote with students who are using iPads right now. For whatever reason, Google has decided not to enable URLs to be sort of clickable within private comments within this view. So I'm going to click on that link, and this is going to take me directly to this page. And this is the landing page for this particular comment, where my student Jim can read the comment. Hi, Jim. I really like, and they can listen to it. And so my student here doesn't have the extension, but can still listen to and read my comment. Now, more and more of our teachers, more and more of our schools are encouraging students to add the Mote extension, and it's very easy to do. So I'm just going to walk you through that. So here we land on the Chrome store. I'm going to click Add to Chrome. Very simple requirements. We don't ask for a great deal of permissions. We focus our permissions on Classroom and Docs. This is simply all we need in order to provide the experience that we do. The extension is installed. And then we have this very basic customer education experience. So this is worth viewing or encouraging your students or colleagues to view. These slides are just a helpful little summary of the basic functionality. I'm going to go back now to my view in the student view, and I'm going to refresh the page. I'm going to see now that our student has actually got the voice note now embedded in their view. So our student can click to listen. Hi, Jim. I really like the start. And our student can also click to respond. Now, what I want to show you is our student now. This is the student view. And in fact, let me, just because I haven't logged in, have I? So I'm going to click on this. I get my basic tips to using it. I'm going to try and record, and I can record now. Okay, so let me just do one thing. I'm going to log out, and I'm going to log back in again because I realized I was still logged in. So the first thing first is we have a very different experience for minors, for anyone 17 or younger, than we do for anyone 18 or older. And it's it's a different user experience. It's also different on our end. We don't send emails to anyone under 17. We don't even distribute any of their information within our system. So we're very, very sensitive about any information for students. So anyone 17 or younger, sign in with my student account. So now I'm signed in. I'm just going to refresh this in case there's any issues with the login. So now my student is signed in as a student. And what you'll see is they don't have transcription. It says here, voice transcription is 18 plus only, but they can still respond. So they could say, thank you, Mr. Jackson. That was really helpful feedback. So my student can respond. No need to edit it. They just post it. And while we're doing that, so Jim Halpert left me a voice note, and I'll come and look at that in the student view. Now, the other thing that our student can do, a very quick and easy way for the student to respond, is to click on one of these basic emojis to just say, yep, I've understood it. I understand and I'll revise as suggested. I'll just zoom that in. Or I may need help to understand this feedback. So we've introduced these reaction emojis recently, and we've been getting some very encouraging feedback from users. Again, if I just refresh this page, what we'll do is we'll see that Jim has responded. And we can also listen to Jim's comment here. Say, thank you, Mr. Jackson. That was really helpful feedback. So then if I just go back to Jim's, I'll just show you one thing. I'm going to click on this gem. So this is now Jim, my student, clicking to say, yep, I understand and I'll revise as suggested. I'm going to now, oops, sorry. I'm just going to go back over. I know I keep flitting between the two. So now as the teacher account, I want to see whether or not my students have engaged with the messages that I've left them. And here I can see that Jim Halpert has opened or viewed the comment that I've left. They've listened to it, and they've actually left me the feedback that they've understood and actioned the comment that I've left. So you have one of these notes for every one of the voice notes you create. And you can use this. You'll get a daily summary. Teachers get a daily summary of all of the engagement that they've had with their content. I'm going to stop there. And I'm going to stop sharing. And I'm going to hand to Katie to tell us a little bit about your experience of working with Mote in the spring.
Hey, okay. So I work at a school. We are primary school, so we go from reception to 11 years old. Our school shut on the 20th of March for the whole of Easter, and we did a full timetable for all children. They had 6 40-minute lessons Monday to Friday. We loaned out all our Chromebooks to the children, so everyone had to learn a bunch of stuff very quickly. Google Classroom was our main medium of teaching during this time, and we taught with Classroom and online Meets. So once it was all up and running, the teachers were all sorted, the children were sorted, everyone then turned to marking, and it was seeming very difficult, and there was a large volume of marking to be done for certain teachers. Our maths teachers, particularly, and our language teachers just found it really long-winded, typing answers into Google Classroom in that private comment box. And obviously, when you've done a full day teaching, then doing that at the end of the day, it was pretty hard going. So I pushed out Mote I heard about Mote in a chat or something. Someone said it about it to me. And we pushed out Mote to all our teachers. I didn't really explain that I was adding it. I didn't do a training session on it. So teachers just found it and they started experimenting themselves, and they found it so easy to understand how to use it. The extension made it easy for them to then add their feedback to the children's comments, as you've seen in the demo in that private comment box. Just by pressing the purple button, they were able to record and give that voice feedback that many of our little learners obviously wanted. And it meant that also for our children that, you know, years 4, 5, where some of them aren't the greatest readers, they could hear what you wanted to say. The maths teachers could also convert their complex feedback, trying to explain division or whatever to the children. So it made it just so much easier. Our learning support department also loved it. We pushed it out to our learning support children. And the fact that they could almost have a dialogue, the children could leave verbal feedbacks as well, became so easy for them to just reply to comments as well. It's some of our teachers in our learning support that then work across our 5 schools in the trust. So the other schools then got wind of it as well. And everyone just loved it, that it was just so easy to use. We did go back to school for the last 3 weeks of school, and we continued to use it. We are going to continue going on with it. We can see how it's going to be particularly useful for our homeworks. Obviously, with your older children, if you want to give them some feedback, you tell them it, they go home, they forget it. So we're going to record our feedbacks onto their work so they know what they have to do when they go home. And we're just going to continue, and we're going to push it out to our children. I think the great thing about seeing the feedback, seeing if the children have actually looked at the feedback, is going to be super helpful for the forthcoming year. So I hope that gives you a taster of how we did it. It's really easy. Those of you that are admins, it's super easy to push it out to everyone from the admin console. So yeah, I hope that's given you a taster of using it within a school.
Sorry, thanks very much, Katie. I really get better at this. Okay, brilliant. I'm going to bring Heather in, and I'm going to take us out.
Okay.
Heather, it's all yours.
All right. Hello. Again, my name is Heather Ringersma. I teach in a rural Wisconsin district, and we went to home learning on March 17th. That was our last day of school. So March 18th was our first day of home learning when we went on lockdown, and we stayed that way for the whole school year. And being an English language arts teacher, there's a lot of writing in my assignments. I teach at the 8th grade level, which is ages 13 and 14, and a lot of the writing assignments that I gave required that written feedback. So I was spending hours and hours and hours giving that feedback, just typing it up and typing it up. And I started to do some research. There's got to be a way to record my feedback. And I found a program that I was recording feedback, and it was distorting my voice, and I didn't enjoy it. And I was reading the reviews on this one specific program, and that's where I had seen something about Mote. And so I installed the Mote extension, and oh my goodness, it was amazing, and I loved it. And I introduced it to my colleagues actually at a Google Meet staff meeting. We are a Google Classroom. That was one thing I failed to mention. And so I started using Mote. My colleagues started using Mote. And the feedback that I received from my students, from parents, my students, you know, we all miss each other. And to hear from my students saying, you know, Mrs. Ringersma, instead of reading your feedback, hearing your voice, it was just such a wonderful touch to hear your voice. And, you know, it was so much more understandable for them to know what I was talking about, because that personal touch of what you mean to say versus what is typed gets lost in translation. And so giving that verbal feedback and recording it is just, it's so much more effective. And so I found feedback to become so much more effective. So my colleagues started using it too. And our special ed teacher really had just said how effective it was for her too, because the high school special ed teacher, her students struggled with reading some of her feedback. And so they were able to not only understand what she said, but they were not apprehensive about giving that feedback back to her. They could just record it. So what I did this past Thursday then is I was able to, I should back up. We start school next Tuesday. We're doing a hybrid model where we're going to be doing a kind of a blended classroom. And also students have the choice to either go all virtual or back to the classroom. And so we're going to be doing a blended learning classroom where it's going to be a hybrid model, and we start on Tuesday. And so using Google Classroom and having that Mote extension is going to be really, really, really important for us. But last Thursday, I did a seminar with my colleagues on how to use Mote. And our foreign language teacher, having that Google Translate, that Mote translation is she's so excited about that too. But the feedback that I had received on that from my colleagues was just phenomenal. And our superintendent sat in on that presentation, the seminar that I had given on Mote and how it works. And, you know, I have so many other teacher friends that are interested in it as well. And it's such a wonderful tool. And listening to Katie talking about the younger grades, I wasn't able to give the presentation to the younger grades, just the 6th grade through 12th grade, because I teach secondary. But the little ones, you know, able to get that feedback when they're not as good of readers, it's just, it's a wonderful, excellent way to give feedback. And I'm excited about having the ability now to see if the students were able to read the feedback and listen to the feedback. And then now those 2 icons to, did they understand it or not? I like that feature as well. So.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Heather. Really appreciate that. There's a few, and I'm sort of looking off on the side of the screen. I just want to bring up some of the questions. There's one question here, will the recording be available? Yes. So I will be editing some of the technical gaffes I have made, but otherwise the recording will be available. I think we've covered the availability for students. Some questions here. I'll come back to some of the questions later. I wanted to get into some more of the advanced functionality and more of the questions that you guys have asked. So I'm just going to share my screen again. And let me present. Okay, so a couple of the questions received. These are all the questions you put on the form. Does a Mote account allow me to use it on just one domain? The answer is no. As soon as you're logged in, it really doesn't matter if you work in 2, 3, 4 schools, if you're working on personal files, one account can create voice notes for all. We use Google for authentication, but it's entirely separate from the authentication that you'd use to log into Google Classroom or Google G Suite documents as well. Can I use this with higher education? Absolutely. We'd love to see more usage in higher education. I feel like K-12 teachers spend more of their time in the feedback workflow than perhaps a typical higher education lecturer. I could be wrong, but I think that may explain why we've had more adoption with K-12. But I do believe that this is a great tool for higher education. We've actually had several leaders within teacher training colleges adopt Mote, and they love it and have been rolling it out as well. Student privacy issues, COPPA, PII, GDPR, data protection, etc., hugely important. And in fact, one of the most important things we've been working on over the last few months since we launched. let me just speak to that briefly. So we invested a lot of time and effort into working with a respected third party to become COPPA, FERPA, and California Student Privacy certified. This means that we have had all of our policies and practices reviewed. We've undertaken external security checks, and we have also got a lot of information on our website around how we comply with all of these various regulations. We are also GDPR compliant, and we abide by all of the rules of the Australian data privacy laws. Clearly, this is an important space, and I know many other countries have other regulations. We're working through those as quickly as we can, but we take security and privacy extremely seriously, and we'll continue to do so. Question about pricing and the free tier versus paid tiers. This is just for the US view and for the rest of the world. Our free product, so everybody joins on a free trial. If you just sign up through the website or sign up through the Chrome store, you get a 15-day free trial. If you're a referred user, you get a 30-day free trial. The other thing to say is if you become a VIP, we're going to be rolling out soon, you'll actually be able to give people a 90-day free trial. So it's a great perk for becoming a Mote VIP as well, part of our ambassadors. So let me talk to some of the advanced functionality. Is there any way to add Mote comments to a comment bank in Google Classroom? Will I be able to control on which slides? So I'll go through Google Slides. I'll talk about languages. Heather briefly spoke to that. That was really cool. One of our features is translation. I'll talk a bit about speech to text and usage in other parts of the G Suite ecosystem. That's it. All right. Let me go back. So let's just start here. This is my teacher screen. You can see that. So we can, so you can see here, this is my Mote bank. In fact, I've already added comments to the Mote bank. So if I just go back to my comment view, if I click here, so what I would be able to do, unfortunately, I have just posted this, but maybe I'll just record. Here is a new recording to demonstrate the power of the Mote bank. So I'm the comment bank. So this is a piece of text. I can copy this. I can then go to the Mote. I can go to the comment bank. I just paste that in there. And that one is this one I just posted, right? Let me just, yeah, force XC. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to edit this. And I'm going to make this, and I'm going to call it my Google certified comment. Save that. And I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go back. Obviously, I'm going to delete this, but imagine that this was just me using it any other time. I add it there. I post it. Now, the student obviously would see what I had written as the text, but obviously it renders it like this. Here is a new recording to demonstrate the power of the Mote bank. So what I will say, so yes, it does work with the comment bank, but actually very soon we're going to be rolling out our own version of the comment bank that will work across any G Suite application that we support, or any application we support, and we'll support both voice notes and text comments as well. Hoping to have a first version of that launched very soon. Let me now go to a slides view. So this is a Google Slides document, and I am going to add a comment to this page. Now, if I want to insert a comment on this page, I'll do that. Okay, great. So I need to refresh my screen. Sorry about that. So again, what happened there, I think I had logged in as a different user earlier. So I'll add a comment. So similarly, I can create a comment here. This is my important comment for my Google Slides document. So I'm adding my voice comment. I'm just going to add that in here now. So it's comments in slides work pretty similarly to Google Docs. They're attached to individual slides like this. So I'll go back. Again, the comment will load every time. Now, one of the use cases that we know is popular is actually embedding audio into slides. This is my important comment for my Google Slides document. So what I want to do now, I'm actually going to click on these three dots. I'm going to download this to my local drive. Downloads. Here it is. And I'm just going to drag that over to my Google Drive. So I'm just going to go back. Where am I at? Okay, great. So now I'm here. What I want to show you is how I'm going to insert this into the Google slide. Now, this, I will say, is not the easiest thing in the world, but once you've done it once or twice, you'll know what you're doing. So I'm going to log into my Google Drive. I'm then going to, actually, I beg your pardon, I don't need to do that. Sorry, excuse me. I'm now in here. I go Insert, Audio, and I'm going to find, I think, was it this one? I'm going to add it in. And
this is a test.
Okay, so that actually wasn't the piece of audio I wanted. Well, you get the idea. You can save the audio to your Google Drive, and then you can embed it into a Google slide like this. So there are other ways to add audio, but this is one of the things that I know many teachers have asked us about. So let me do one other thing now. So I've talked a bit about translation. This is my important comment for my Google Slides document. For my Google Slides, first I'm going to make sure it's right. So I'm going to edit the transcript. I'm going to save this change. Now, for whatever reason, I think it's very important to translate this into Spanish. Now, clearly my audio hasn't changed, but now my comment, my audio comment, is combined with a translation into Spanish. Now, we've heard this feature has been requested a lot by teachers of students with different languages, and also we think it'd be an interesting tool for modern languages teachers to try. This is my important comment for my Google Slides document. So we only launched this last week, and I'd love to see how teachers use it, but it's a feature we've been asked a lot about, and yeah, it's pretty cool, fun thing to share. That, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I should show you at this time. I'm going to stop. I'm going to take a look at some of the questions that we've received. Okay. I said earlier, so there's a question here. You said the link doesn't work on iPad. Yes. So the student would see the link, and a very diligent student might be able to kind of copy and paste that link in some way and then paste it into a browser. But it's a really awkward experience. And so I definitely would not recommend using it for students using Google Classroom. For Google Docs, with slides and with sheets, it works fine. And it also works in the stream area within Classroom view, so within Google Classroom, I think, on iPads. But my general recommendation would be that we don't have a fantastic experience with iPads. Maybe something we can fix in the future. But the transcriptions, cool. Yes, deaf and hard of hearing errors. I think this is one of the things we've heard a lot. We've heard a lot of interesting pieces from all sorts of teachers with students with different special needs. So, we'd love, again, we're looking to build out our understanding of that. The more different kind of users that we get, the more we learn about how the product can help in different contexts. Is there a time limit for how long the comment can be? Yes. So we have a 90-second time limit for our paid products and the free trial. But the free version, one of the key differences is that it is time limited to 30 seconds. So we thought that was enough for most student needs, right, to say thank you to a teacher or to ask a follow-up question. But it may not be enough for some of you with more advanced commenting needs. And the reason for the limit, the 90-second limit, is we think that it encourages conciseness and brevity. While I believe some teachers would like more time, and we've had this discussion with many users, we think that student engagement is going to fall off after a certain period of time. And so we do think there's a value in having that limit. I'm just trying to look through if there are any other questions. There was an interesting one here. The school wonders about students lying about their age, and what would the problem be? Well, it's always possible. I mean, one of the things that we're looking to do with schools is that we're now offering all of our schools the option, if you sign up as a paid school subscriber, you can actually share with us your student accounts, and we'll upgrade all of the students from the free tier to the essential tier, which gives them a 90-second time limit. And as part of that, we can obviously restrict them and make sure that those accounts are in fact used as minor accounts as well. So we have a solution for our paid users for free. The reality is that from a student's point of view, the free service is actually not very different to the student service. So there's not much of an incentive to lie either. They would just end up getting lots of emails from me, which no one wants to get, especially if you're like 14. I am going to go back to the presentation, unless there are any more questions. If the teacher uses a free version, would the student be able to react to the comments with emojis? The answer is no. So the reactions feature is actually a feature of our top tier unlimited product. That is partly because we think that we just want to really make sure that we have a whole set of really great features designed around being a teacher. That unlimited product is our professional teacher product. And so that's where we're focusing now. Let me go back to my screen. And go back to my presentation. And so here are some of the other questions. So will I be able to control on which sides? I think I've spoken to those first two. Support for students with second language. Again, I think we've seen lots of great applications, and I'm excited to see more. Accuracy of speech to text and how Mote can be used more extensively. So we use Google's voice to text, which we've tested and we think is the best on the market. We have lots of users ask us about quality, and we always suggest use a good microphone. Make sure you don't have background noise. Try and speak clearly, maybe a little bit slower. But honestly, many users report it working extremely well. So this is one of the things we've learned. Voice commenting works well for many people. For other people, it doesn't work well for whatever reason. Their accent doesn't work well, or perhaps their equipment doesn't work. And that's why we enable users to switch off transcription. And we actually switch it off by default. It's a great feature. It's very useful. It increases the accessibility of your feedback, but it's also can be for some users just more hassle, and they just want to get their voice comments recorded and get it out there as quickly as possible. And that's why we make it an option. How can Mote be used more extensively in the G Suite ecosystem? We are open to continuing to explore other areas within G Suite, and indeed other applications to support. So we are asked a lot about supporting Google Drive natively, so you'd be able to add comments into a PDF file, for example, or a JPEG. We've been asked about forms, both in terms of giving feedback on forms and in terms of using forms for language. These are all things we're really interested in. We're a very small team, and so we have to sort of ruthlessly prioritize. But we are, our plan is to just continue to increase the coverage so that we can be used wherever you'd find it helpful. There were a couple other questions. Let me just see. I think there were some other questions about going beyond the Google ecosystem. And again, something we'd love to be able to do. We especially are interested in looking at Microsoft Docs and Office Suite and Microsoft Teams and ways to integrate. We're also looking at Canvas and other LMS systems to see if we can integrate there. But as you all know, Google has got a great product, it's got a great footprint. And so right now we are pretty focused on the Google ecosystem. Okay, so let me go back to the StreamYard. Is there a limit on the number of comments you can leave for your students? No. No, in fact, all tiers of our products are entirely unlimited. So if your students are willing to listen to you, you can voice comment them endlessly. And you know, we've had some users now, like I think a record, we've got several users over, you know, we've got about 20 users who've done more than 1,000 voice notes. I think some are over 2,000 now. So some teachers have found this just to be their default way of interacting with students, and are really enjoying that. If I haven't found your question, if you have any questions in the stream, if you wouldn't mind posting them again, that would be fantastic. I'm just going to go back through. Google assignments. Yes, so let me just briefly show one thing. So, so if I just go back to, so my students, this is my student view. So my students, so I can actually post into the stream view. We have had a technical reason why we haven't been able to post it directly into the assignment. So this is like an assignment. But what a lot of teachers will do is they'll write a little text note, and then they'll add a voice comment below it like this. So just linking to that. And then students can engage in a conversation as well within this stream. So you can have a stream of conversation. And this also works within some of these other, if I go into the assignment view, oh, this is the student view. But as a teacher, you should be able to see that. Right, what other questions? Are there any more questions? I'm looking through. I'm going to bring Heather in. Heather, you with me? Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
there you are. Okay, Heather, you tell me, is there anything you think I haven't covered that our audience might find helpful?
I think that it is such an easy program to use. So I'm really not seeing any other questions. The Mote bank, you've covered the Mote bank. That would be the only.
Yeah, and that is coming soon. And I have some really janky imagery, which I wanted to wait, but yes, very soon. I think that is going to be a major improvement. You know, we see ourselves as solving two problems. One is helping you be more efficient, giving feedback more quickly, and the other is helping you be more effective, connect more, be friendlier, right, impactful in your feedback. And in terms of efficiency, the Mote book, I think we're calling it Mote book feature, is very much around efficiency. So you would be able to record voice notes and then have those searchable and build up your own set of those that you can use and reuse. So that, yeah, that will be a great addition coming very soon. There's a couple more things I just want to speak to actually. So we would love for you all, I think everybody attending is going to get a 1-year free gift or a free subscription to our unlimited tier, and I hope you take advantage of it. If you also want to become a Mote ambassador, and it really doesn't require an enormous amount of work or enormous amount of commitment, it just involves you joining our Facebook community, getting engaged a little bit. You'll also get sort of we'll make that an unlimited offer, and then you'll also get some benefits like being able to extend free trials for other users, and a really funky electronic badge, and maybe even a T-shirt. So I definitely think you should check that out. We just launched our gifting program. I just announced it today, and this is designed to encourage parents and PTAs to consider gifting a Mote subscription to a teacher. Now, clearly this is self-serving. Clearly this is something we'd love to see, but it's something we've heard from teachers. We're conscious, we've launched this product. Teachers have loved it, and they say, well, hang on a minute, you want us to pay? We say, well, actually, we'd rather your school pay, but sometimes schools don't have the money, but maybe PTAs do. And so we're really trying to open up as many different ways for a teacher to get the best possible access to our product, and they can help as many students as possible. So gifting, if you go to our website, you can find that. We've got it like on the website, on the homepage, and then if you go to justmote.me/gift, you'll also find our page there. So that's an important new development. And then one other interesting new development, we are launching very soon a sort of a partner program for partner if you work within a company that provides training and support for schools, and you're interested in working with Mote, please do drop me an email, will@justmote.me. I think you all have my email contact. And we're very interested to work with you. We have we're happy to discuss commercial terms, but we have a program we're putting together to work with partners in that way. Sharing. I train my school teachers about Mote. Thank you, Professor Fazuli. Yes, I know. I've heard a lot of folks have given some training at school, which is fantastic. Unless there are any more questions coming through, I think we might call that a wrap for today. Unless there's anything else. As you say, Heather, it's a pretty simple product. It just solves an important problem. So we're going to do our very best to keep solving more problems, but keep it extremely simple. So with that, unless there's anything more, I will say goodbye. Thank you all for tuning in. And we'll be following up with information about how to get your 1-year free subscription. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.